You leave your house every morning without thinking about it. You touch doorknobs. You hold your phone. You drink from a cup and set it down. You leave pieces of yourself everywhere you go, invisible, microscopic, forgotten the second you walk away. Most of the time it means nothing. But in 1983, in a quiet corner of England, those invisible pieces became the only witness to a murder. And the way police finally found the killer would change crime solving forever. This is the story of the first murder ever solved using DNA. Picture a small village called Narborough in Leicestershire, England. Quiet streets. Everyone knows everyone, the kind of place where nothing happens. Then, in November of 1983, a 15-year-old girl named Linda Mann was found murdered on a footpath. She had been assaulted and strangled. There were no witnesses. There was almost nothing to go on. Police did what police always did back then. They looked for a suspect who fit a profile. They questioned local men. They chased leads that went nowhere. The case went cold. Years passed. Linda's killer was still out there, walking the same streets, buying groceries at the same shops. Nobody knew it yet. Then, in July of 1986, it happened again. Another 15-year-old girl, Dawn Ashworth, found less than a mile from where Linda had been killed. Same method, same brutal pattern. The village that had once felt safe was now living in fear, certain a predator was among them, with no idea who he was or what he looked like. This time, police thought they had their man. A 17-year-old kitchen porter named Richard Buckland was brought in. He had been seen near the scene. Under pressure, during a lengthy interrogation, he confessed. Case closed. Except it wasn't. Something about the confession didn't sit right with investigators. Buckland kept getting details wrong. Details only the real killer should have known. So they turned to something almost nobody had used in a criminal case before. A genetic technique developed just 2 years earlier in a lab less than 20 miles away. In 1984, a geneticist named Alec Jeffreys, working at the University of Leicester, made an accidental discovery. He was studying inherited diseases, not crime. But while examining X-ray images of DNA samples, he noticed something strange. Certain patterns in human DNA were unique to each individual, like a barcode written into every cell of your body. He realized almost immediately what this meant. If every person's DNA carries a distinct pattern, then biological evidence left at a crime scene could, in theory, be matched to exactly one person on Earth. He called it DNA fingerprinting. Nobody had tested this idea on a live murder investigation. Police approached Jeffreys and asked him to try. He compared semen samples from both crime scenes against a sample from Richard Buckland, the young man who had confessed. The results were stunning. Buckland's DNA didn't match. Think about that for a moment. A false confession made under pressure in a case with no other physical evidence was about to send an innocent teenager to prison for a crime he did not commit. And a new, largely untested scientific method was the only thing standing between him and a life sentence. Buckland was released. He became the first person in history to be exonerated by DNA evidence. Not convicted by it, cleared by it. But the DNA did match something. It matched the samples from both crime scenes to each other, confirming both girls had been killed by the same man. Police just didn't know who he was yet, so they made a decision that had never been attempted before, anywhere in the world. They asked every man in the village between the ages of 17 and 34 to voluntarily give a blood sample. Nearly 5,000 men lined up. Think about the strangeness of that moment. An entire community quietly submitting to a test that hadn't existed 3 years earlier because a scientist down the road had found a way to read the one thing every human being carries that cannot be faked, cannot be disguised, and cannot lie. Weeks turned into months. No match came back. The killer, it turned out, was smarter than anyone expected. A local bakery worker named Colin Pitchfork had paid a colleague, a man named Ian Kelly, to take the test in his place. Pitchfork had a prior conviction for indecent exposure and feared the test would expose him regardless of guilt. He forged a passport photo and coached Kelly on personal details to get through the process undetected. It almost worked. Months later, in a pub, a woman overheard Ian Kelly bragging about taking the test for someone else as a favor. She reported it to police. Kelly was arrested. He gave up Pitchfork's name. In September of 1987, police finally took a genuine blood sample from Colin Pitchfork himself. It matched both crime scenes exactly. Pitchfork confessed to both murders. He was sentenced to life in prison